Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon from my side as well. It's a pleasure to have the political dimension of all three institutions in mind. It's important that taking that as a starting point to remember why are we doing this. This is to secure financial stability. And financial markets include banks, but go beyond. I think Mr. Carr said more than 11 different topics have been tackled since the financial crisis. And that means financial markets are well interlinked. And when we talk about interlinkage, that's the starting point to see that we also need to look into the nitty-gritty things once in a while, not to just look to the overall and overarching principles, but also to make sure that when getting the things right in the general direction, not to do them wrong in detail. So when we look into the financial market infrastructure side, which is what is most important for us as a provider of financial market infrastructures, it is important that financial market infrastructures are key to finalize the capital market units, to secure market efficiency and integrity, and to secure financial stability. That's done most by the CSDs and CCPs, which are also in focus of European legislation, and they are closely and in magnitude of items linked to the banking industry and the banking rules. So over the last years, there has been an implementation of dedicated rules for FMIs, which is EMIR for the CCPs, and the CSD regulation currently in the process of being fully implemented for the CSDs. However, there's a third pillar in the middle, which is the banking rules. And there's a strong link between the rules for CSDs and CCPs to the banking rules, which is EMIR encourages the usage of additional banking topics for CCPs, especially in order to get access to central bank liquidity. And for the CSDs, in order to be able to do cross-border and especially non-domestic currency settlement and custody activities, they need to have a banking license. And both regulations implement strong additional rules for risk management, for liquidity management, and for lots of other items. And not to forget, both regulations refer back to the banking rules when it comes to capital. But it doesn't stop there. The capital rules for banks go way beyond, for FMIs, for CSDs and CCPs, goes way beyond the capital requirements for banks. There's additional capital requirements for winding down and restructuring. There's additional capital requirement for business risk and for a lot of other items. So there is heavy regulation coming on top. Is the banking license necessary for CSD or CCP? The clear answer is legally not. In order to foster and to make sure that we have efficient financial markets, the license is nevertheless factually mandatory. As for a CCP to get access in the Eurozone to the central bank, the only way is operating under an additional banking license. And as I said, we have lots of initiatives to foster cross-border settlement. We have the T2S implementation, which is more or less just completed. We have the aim to have efficient cross-border settlement, and this only functions if that also is possible in a variety of currencies, and then we are back the need for a banking license. If a CSD or CCP has a banking license, then the rule set must fit. The business is similar to banks, but very much different in detail. Different risk management, very short-term business, very much driven from a single product. So consequently, when we discuss all this, especially new ratios and regulatory framework, that needs to be fit for purpose also for institutions falling in scope of the CSDR. And I take your point of the proportionality, Mr. Karas. Proportionality is not just size. Proportionality is also business model, structure, and the risk profile. And as such, it is important that the rules are tailored, fit for purpose, not each rule for each institution, but what fits should fit and what not fit should be made on purpose. It's still following international rules because CPSS IOSCO requirements are already fulfilled with CSDR and EMIR, and the additional rules in the banking framework needs to be tailored. Having said that, and coming back to the 11 or plus rules which have been implemented over time, and also taking into account that the investment firm review is on the agenda to come, we see a big puzzle of lots of items in the financial market industry, but they are not linked. The linking pin, at least the consolidation, is still missing. We have lots of new institution types, trade depositories, index providers, rating agencies. They're all regulated in Europe, but if it comes to the questions how they are to be treated under a banking framework in a diverse group, the European legislation is silent. No rule how a CSD is to be consolidated, how a trade repository is to be consolidated, how CCP goes into a group, nothing in this regard. There is a definition of the financial institution and the ancillary service undertakings. Lots of these institutions may or may not fall in scope. Coming back to the level playing field, if you want to have a level playing field, we should have harmonized definitions, we should have a clear treatment, and there should be a level 1 regulation on that. Many thanks.